What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Of course, we're here with another tier list video, but this time we're having a look at a very old piece of content, and that is going to be Coliseums. Now, of course, these tier list videos are going to be coming out whilst I am away on vacation, of course, so hopefully you guys do go on to enjoy it. These are mainly aimed for beginner, low-level players that haven't got a lot of these free-to-play characters farmed up. What we have here is every single Coliseum character that I could see that was, number one, a Chaos difficulty Coliseum, and number two, you could actually unlock via the Recollection Archive. There's no point ranking a character that you can't even get, right? Like characters like Coliseum Gladius, who is actually like not the best, but back when he first came out was very good. Characters like that just not even in the Recollection Archive. Hopefully they are injected into the archive at some point, but as for right now, these are the Chaos difficulty Coliseums that you can unlock and you can farm, that you will probably want to get your hands on some of these characters. They're going to actually be pretty good units. So without further ado, let's jump into it. We have Apu, just a bad unit, doesn't see too much play anymore. He's a free spirit attack booster. I think, is he a shooter attack booster as well? He might be. Shooter and free spirit. Kid is bad, Ace is bad, Killer is bad, Drake is bad, Zephyr is not that good, but he is a strength and int attack booster, so I suppose if you want to build a team around that. I think he actually is a health cutter, or he reduces your crew's health, one of the two. I can't remember exactly, but still not bad, I guess. You are bad. Kinemon, I would say he's probably good. He's very, very mid-level unit, this guy. Used a lot back in the day for his cooldown reduction and also adjacent slots matching. He does have double special launch, so you can get lots of cooldown reduction with this guy's special. Kanjuro, pretty bad. You're bad. This guy is interesting. He's a health cutter and a damage reduction unit, and so him being a health cutter means he does do damage, so there are some key supports you can have on top of him because of that. He like has somewhat okay damage reduction as well, so he's fine. Not really the best though. He's kind of bad. This guy's interesting. He does do 3 turns of damage reduction, like 3 turns of 50% damage reduction. He does insta-kill really low HP enemies, so if you're on a stage that has high defense, low HP mobs, his special can just instantly KO them, which is kind of nice. And he also removes poison, I think, if I remember correctly, so Shiryu's not bad. Mark Vice is interesting. He's a color affinity booster for strikers, so if you're in the market for a color affinity booster for strikers, he's okay. Kyros is not very good. Dogstorm's not very good. Cat Viper is actually pretty interesting. Full border slots, striker and powerhouse attack booster. Like, what more is there to like about him? He's just pretty good. He's just a super solid unit. Same with Lucy. He gives you interesting slots. He can give you an orb boost. He's also a health cutter as well, so another damage deal is always nice. And it's a Luffy, so there's cool supports you can attach to him. Sicilian, he is an int attack booster, so I guess if you're in the market for that, you could use that. Raizo is terrible. Eniru is a must-max character. This is the first must-max of the list. He gets around paralysis. He gets around attack down. He gives himself a matching slot. If you've got a driven captain, you get a chain boost as well. Eniru is actually pretty good. He's actually a very, very solid unit. If you're looking for some utility and you don't have a lot of these free-to-play characters, Eniru is one you'd probably want to get. Pedro is pretty good. He reduces your crew's health, I think, by 95% or 99% or something. And he's also a cerebral color affinity booster. So there's a lot of different situations where you can use Pedro. He's actually pretty good. Rayleigh is just okay. Special bind remover, matching slots. He's fine. Nothing really too crazy. Jesus Burgess doesn't really see too much play. He's kind of bad. Kid is interesting. Now, in the previous tier list that I have done, I have always ranked characters that are used for wave clearing as relatively high level. So I guess I got to put Kid up the top there. He's really good. If you got a striker or a shooter captain, you get end of turn damage for 2 turns. He has cooldown reduction at the start of the quest. So as soon as you start a fight, he's always going to be ready, essentially. And you can just use him for wave clearing. Very good for getting through like really easy content that you need to farm, or if you want to farm cotton candy, this is another character you can use to help you wave clear. Just super solid unit. Neptune, also a must-max character. 3-turn orb boost to cerebral powerhouse. Gets around resilience. Gets around despair. I think he does something regarding enemy defense. Does he reduce defense? I can't remember exactly. But the main key takeaways. Oh, he gets around resilience as well. This unit's amazing, dude. Like, he is so powerful, and even on release was by far and away the best, along with Kid. Like, these two characters releasing so close to each other, absurd. These two characters are so good. They don't see as much play as when they first came out, that is for sure, but these are characters that are going to be very useful moving forward. Opera is interesting. The main reason why people use him is because of his support. Attaches to any fighter, and if you do a damage dealing special, gets around 2 turns of despair. Like, super good. Super good. I mean, even like this Lucy, for example. Damage dealing special, he's a fighter. You can attach him, get rid of despair. Super good. Kuma is pretty bad, unfortunately. Daifuku is also pretty bad. Probably wouldn't even bother with Daifuku, to be honest. Tamago, don't even bother. Very difficult Coliseum, and the unit itself is not very good. Oven is actually not bad. I actually kind of want to put him in the amazing tier, to be honest. He's actually pretty good. He gives you like a full board of slots, strength, dex, and quick slot boosting unit as well. This guy's good. Oven's actually not bad. Magellan is probably a must max. He's not as good as what he once was, but still, he is a poison conditional. He gets around like 2 turns of enemy defensive effects. He is just a super nice unit to have. He has good class and colors, so he just works well in a lot of teams. You know, getting a conditional boost out of him. Eneru's just a solid, I say Eneru, but I said Magellan. Magellan is just a solid unit across the board, to be honest. Smoothie is okay. Color affinity and matching slots, like nothing really too crazy. Pika is bad, honestly, he's really bad. Katakuri, don't bother with him. Brook, don't bother. Again, Brook is another one that's like a super difficult Coliseum, but the unit does not equate to how difficult the actual content is. He's just not worth your time. Dofi and Treble, I would say, are an amazing character. The really cool thing about them is you can have multiple turns of a really decently high chain lock effect. The only real drawback to this character is that in order to get, you know, the chain lock in the following turn, you need to hit 4 perfects, which is pretty difficult to do in a lot of circumstances. But if you're able to do that, I mean, multiple hits of that really nice chain lock is good. Their switch effect is actually very nice too, being able to give themselves a matching slot and also make strength and dex beneficial to the crew. Like, it's just a really nice switch effect that they have. Unfortunately, like, a lot of these characters' captain abilities are just terrible, but, you know, this character is a pretty solid unit overall. Morley, also very good. He can give you multiple turns of conditional boost. He does defense down. He gets around enemy defensive effects as well. And he can also actually get around resilience too. Like, Morley is incredible, to be honest. Definitely ahead of his time in terms of what he actually provides. He probably actually is a must-max character now that I'm looking at it. He's just really good to get a conditional boost, to get defense down, to get threshold removal, resilience removal. Morley's fantastic. And then you got Jinbei. Jinbei is an amazing character. If your captain is fighter or cerebral, I think he completely gets rid of enemies' threshold. That's awesome. He also provides a chain boost as well. Jinbei is a solid unit across the board, honestly. Law is fine. He gets around special bind, but I think he only gets around by 4 turns. And he's also an attack booster to slasher and cerebral, so that's kind of cool. Hody Jones is a must max. He gets around bind, he gets around despair, he gets around paralysis. And he's a damage dealing special, striker powerhouse, good class and type combination. Hody is a boss, and he actually has some very interesting supports too. A lot of his crew members have interesting supports you can attach to him that also can provide some interesting utility effects. Oz is terrible, don't even bother with him. Kiyoshiro is kind of just like okay, he's just a bad unit, you're not going to really use him that much. Shutenmaru has interesting effects, he's an orb booster, gives you more tandem slots, he has utility as well, also gets around special bind, very cool. Sangor is also kind of a mid-level unit, he can also generate you color affinity, he can do some orb change, he does cooldown reduction, he does have the crewmate ability to resist special reverse, so you can use him in that sense, which is nice. Komurasaki I think is actually an amazing character. The cool thing about her is that while her ability to remove defensive effects isn't amazing because it only gets rid of it by 2 turns, she does have double special activation, so it can be up to 4 turns of those defensive effect removals. But the thing is that you can use this alongside other characters that remove defensive effects, so if the enemy for some reason has like 6 turns or 7 turns of these effects, like Komurasaki plus someone else is going to be great. Or if there's multiple turns or multiple stages with enemy defensive effects, Komurasaki is going to be very good for that. The one that comes to mind straight away where Komurasaki is always amazing for is the Arena versus Mihawk. Always building a side team, Komurasaki is so good for that, dealing with stage 3, helps you with stage 5, just a really good character, and Komurasaki has some pretty interesting supports too. Dogstorm is also very good, gets around despair, gets around attack down I believe, also an attack boost to strength and psi characters. Dogstorm has good supports too, so there's lots to love about him, and he is a damage dealing special too. Kizaru is like a mid-level unit. He gives you orb boost. He does cooldown reduction, but it's only to one target character on your crew, so that's a bit of a downside to him. Would have been nice if it was for the whole crew. You could have some interesting stuff with him. King is also kind of a mid-level unit. King is a delayed conditional booster. He is a self-proccing delayed conditional booster. He does have some utility as well, but the thing is delayed conditional boosts are very hard to trigger, and in a lot of cases are kind of useless, unless if you have some type of way to apply it through enemy immunities, which unfortunately this character does not. We have Yukimaru, he's also kind of a mid-level unit. He does have good utility, but it's only by 4 turns, gets around defensive effects, can provide beneficial slots, but he's just not all that. If his utility was 5 turns instead of 4, he probably would be in one of the first 2 categories. But the 4-turn removal has really hurt this guy in a lot of cases where I've wanted to use him, unfortunately. So he gets around bind as well, which is pretty cool, I guess, if you're looking for something that does that. Orochi, I think Orochi is amazing. This is probably the best Orochi character in the game, mainly because of his special ability, which allows you to mainly get around 8 turns of a lot of enemy gimmicks. Specifically, paralysis is the big one. He also cuts your crew's HP, which can be kind of clutch depending on your circumstance. And he's got very cool classes. I believe he's a cerebral driven, so that's also kind of nice for him. Or it might be cerebral powerhouse. I think it's one of those two. So next is Orochi. Now, dude, Orochi's actually very good. It is a bit weird that this character doesn't see as much play as what he actually should, because this guy is really good. For a free-to-play character too, like, he is a health cutter, which is interesting. He cuts your crew's HP, but he gets around 8 turns of bind, 8 turns of paralysis, and he's also an orb booster or an attack booster. I think I've actually just pulled it up here. He's an attack booster for driven, cerebral, and powerhouse characters, 2 times for 1 turn. He gets around end of turn damaging effects from the enemy, end of turn healing from the enemy, gets around enemy enrage, like unique buffs, but bind and paralysis is the big one. And he has really interesting class and type combination, being strength driven and cerebral. I think Orochi is kind of a worthwhile pickup, especially if you're looking to beat content that has heavy bind and paralysis. This guy can be pretty clutch for dealing with that. Okiku is very good. I'm going to definitely suggest to must max Okiku. Getting around enemy percent damage reduction, getting around bind, being an orb booster, like those 2 debuffs plus being a boosting effect herself, Okiku is amazing. And probably is the Okiku that sees the most play in normal content, I would say. She's really, really good, just across the board. And then we have Page 1, the final Coliseum character before they switched over to arenas instead. And Page 1's very good. He's just a solid character. He can get around chain lock, and then he can apply his own chain lock on top of it, depending on how many specials you've launched in that same turn before you launch him. So if you're building a team that uses a lot of specials on 1 turn, and you also need to get around chain debuffs whilst also applying your own one, then again, a very niche situation, but you can still use him as just a regular chain locker for content, which is cool. And he's got good class and type combinations too. But I think without doubt, the top 2 rows are the ones that stand out. These are the characters that, if you're building for teams and you want to help, get around some content, these guys are going to help you out the most, in my personal opinion. And of course, there are some pretty interesting characters in the rows below, but either their utility sucks or their boost sucks. These top rows are all you really need to worry about. If you want to extend and go past and do the top 3 rows, go for your life. But definitely the bottom 2 rows are characters that you're probably never really going to use too much, in my personal opinion. But hopefully this guy's, kind of helped you out a little bit, gives you a little bit of insight as to what you should probably be working on from the recollection archive. I really hope you guys did enjoy this one today. And if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.